G'day everybody. Now, I want to talk about some thoughts that I thought about a year or two ago about righteousness and what would I say to God when it comes to what I'm doing. Because ever since I started that path, I make sure that I, with all the best ability of what I know, what would I say if there was a God that we had to speak to in the end, right? To talk about our life lessons and what we do here in this test field, as we call it, as we use heaven and hell and describe those kind of things, and what here is and how we get to heaven and all that kind of stuff. And if this is a test field, then we have to pass and be a certain soul naturally. Like I talk about a lot, I don't know why I do this and do that. I don't know why I'm like these other people. And I realised that maybe you become a natural soul. You're born, as they say, some people are born violent and some people are born more nice. And perhaps that is true. And a lot of things are true and they all add up. But I want to talk about what would I say to God when it comes to why I smoked marijuana. And if I got cancer on marijuana and died before I got my mission done, otherwise he would know, right? Or he already does. But I'd like to explain to him what would happen afterwards. It'd be something I had to check out. And was that the right step, right? When it comes to what I did. And what would you have done? And what would have been the best way to get something that's in that education rate, the right way of going about it. Right? And other countries all have different ways of going about marijuana. We have all sorts of drugs around the world. They're all drugs. A lot of drugs come from plants or changes of certain materials to create an alcohol and stuff like that. But eventually everything comes from a material, and it depends on our wisdom and what apple we use, right, on how we approach that wisdom, right? Or we just control and dominate, right, and just stay away from things. Okay, no, I say the spices are bad, so they're bad, right? As you know, you get hot and it's not good for your body. But when it comes to things like that, just about everything in this planet this time is all bad. The food's bad, the air's bad, the things we use creates bad things, like the fuel's bad. Right? If we're in a moment of everything's the bad apple, right? And so we're all here to try to fix our things. We're all on missions. We all go through different missions in different parts of the collective, as we're here as a collective. And that's the whole bond of how we're going to get along as a collective, and how do we proceed and upgrade and move on, or do we stay in a circle, and how long does that last, and why do we do that? That's what test is, right? And so I'll be talking to God if I got cancer and died. Here's a little theory that I thought of. Say I got cancer because I smoked, right? And I don't smoke cigarettes, walk around and smoke. I haven't done that since high school, really, and off and on, like very rarely, right? Say 10 times, 20 times over 10 years. I would have a cigarette. And it's more for the nicotine kind of thing. Because you get addicted to everything. Your body needs everything. You have withdrawals, you have thoughts and feelings, and you also have habits. And so I'll be talking to God. I'll be like, well, I got cancer. And it become worse in the end, because I try to, in the end, things definitely when it comes to cancer, usually, usually when it comes to cancer, it's caused by unnatural things, chemicals and stuff like that. In cigarettes, they put a whole bunch of chemicals in it, not good ones either. So I'm like, yeah, I get why they put chemicals in it to make it burn and this and that, but when you look at the list, it's all bad apple list, right? And it's all bad chemicals that are not good for you at all. It's actually getting rid of just waste that they have, and they try to turn waste into money. When you look at it in that area, that's how I see it. Or they just don't care about your health, even worse, right? All outcomes are bad, right? It's not the good outcome, for greed, all sorts of things. Bad apple, as I call it. And instead of making that more natural, like just at least have it available where it was natural, but because of the badness of what they did to it and how they turned it into it and all the studies and how they called cigarettes, right? They had cigarettes with chemicals and that gave it a badder name. See, people used to chew on tobacco, and people still have just the normal tobacco and don't get the same symptoms as a normal cigarette who gets mainstream cigarettes, right? And they put the bad shit in it to make it bad, even more bad, and then say it's bad. It's pretty ironic, isn't it? of how the bad apple works everywhere out there. And so I'll be talking to God about marijuana, and that I had to, when I cut back on it, become worse for my health. And if I never got off it and I used it for medication, right, as you know, we went through things in life, you know, I'm not talking about that I was partying all the time. There was occasions, right, as I learnt lessons, but I did get to a spot where I wanted to quit. But perhaps just even these challenges of doing good deeds in such a world creates it where you need something to wind you down and to keep going, to go, don't give up. Certain drugs help you think differently and go, all right, it's not that bad, right? I can keep on going then. It's a good thing in the end for the good, right? And so people have certain things to calm and relax them when they need to, or they just have them to prevent things and all this kind of thing. There's many reasons why people take drugs, right? Or they've had a certain incident and so on. And we have a choice on this planet, and we've all worked collectively of what we believe, what we should be having a choice of. And we have these rules and we have these religions everywhere all around the world, but yet they have no say. Right? They're not the law. The religion's not the law. And so those words are really, in the end, meaningless, and they're up to your discretion, like a police officer saying, I've got to go call my sergeant to see if we can either take your car or not. We can give you a warning or not, right? And they usually check up your records and stuff like that to make decisions, or they just do it. It all depends on where you're at and how they see things. Right? They're a dominating force. They will more likely be heading just, they can do it, and if they can and then they want to, they will, right? And that's what can lead up to bad problems of envy and greed. That's what leads, there's things that lead up to, if you follow, to a worse outcome of what you're following. Right? We usually get better at what we're doing. So if you're bad, you'll get better at being bad, is pretty much the point. And so I've got to smoke. I smoke mostly now and have been for a while, trying to cut back, and I'm hitting a point where it's a settled point. It's the best I can do, and every now and then have a little more of the medication, of Valium or whatever like that when certain incidences happen. Right? But I have way more of the cigarette, as it's a thing you have to help it burn, and so it's a habit thing, and a thing that when you need it every now and then you have a small dosage, so you need to dilute it, and cigarette is the dilution for that diluting, as I talked about how people dilute drugs with certain things, right? And so we've got to dilute it with something that's, when you smoke it by itself, worse, right? But even though it goes through water helps it filter and all that kind of thing better than what just smoking it for a cigarette. So you can do a little bit to help it a bit more better, but then it can still be a bad thing. Now, I looked at it when I'm with cystic fibrosis. We constantly clean our lungs. Our lungs constantly coat. They can get worse when you drown on their fluids. That could be a good thing if you can constantly cough up, that you might not get lung cancer. That's what I was hoping. If that scenario, I go, no, I won't get it because I should have a less chance as I cough up a lot, right? And that helps clear all the crap I'm getting it out. Because you imagine when I get it out and I see all that, I go, imagine not getting that out. And you see people smoke and not cough. Right? And so that is building up. That's not a good thing, is it? And so that can lead to cancer and stuff like that if you don't have such a mucus system that plays up like CF does. But that doesn't mean I should smoke. Right? It can still happen. I can have periods where I don't, and have periods where it clogs up. It gets down deep naturally anyway, and that shit can get jammed in there and cause problems, as it's got chemicals and things that the body's not used to. It's not natural. Smoke, things we burn naturally, trees, we've been used to that since we've been here. And our bodies get used to it. It doesn't like it, but it won't cause cancers and these other things, usually. Right? More likely when it comes to the natural stuff. That's why we can breathe in certain air and stuff like that. It's natural. Right? In my Ventolin, I'm breathing something that's good, and it's a smoke. Right? But it depends on what form you're breathing. And anyway, back to what I'll say to God, is that I'll go, well, God, I tried my best. I tried to change the system, but it just is what it is. They speak a lot of words. We're in a world of scripture and propaganda, and they just pop out what is what is. They have a law. They don't have a universal law. They don't even have a worldly law. They have individual laws, individual bubbles, and they're constantly fighting, and that's what our history shows. And we haven't gotten to a full connection, like a country connection, to the world yet, which is sad. We haven't got there. We've talked about it for a long time. We've had moments where we've had chances, But in the end, collectively of all the countries, they decided there was too much evil in their countries, and we went the way we went. There was too much of the bad apple. Too many bad apples, we'll keep heading that way until enough good apples, right, can stand up. If not, things can wipe out for a while until they decide to change. And if you head too much of any direction, too much bad apple, in the end they get forced to change. Good guy changes in the end when he kills all the animals and then goes, shit, what am I going to do? Or just before he kills them all, they go, oh, what am I going to do? Even the devil had to think about, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to not kill so many and have to wait and now have to suffer. What do I do? I might learn something. Everyone learn something. And if you go too good and have too much plenty, everything's eating everything, you're not getting nowhere, you got all these bugs and that's too much, what am I going to do? I don't have to be bad, you see. That's why there's balance. That's what balance is. That's the universal law out there, besides a few other things. The main one is that if you want something to function long, it needs balance. And if it doesn't have a balance, that means the universe is not even quite balanced. It just needs to be 1% out in something, and eventually something will fail as it's got a wear out part. It doesn't have a proper balance. There's something that's not right. Why did that part wear out? There should be a better part. That's how we build machines, right? And so balances are out. It's wrong. But if they're not, then they'll go on and on, like the Lamb Chop song. It's the universe that goes on and on, my friend. And we've got evidence of that. So we expand and we do all these things. They think we might pull back. And it might be one massive black hole that comes like a big bang that pulls everything back in. But we've already got that naturally happening and then feeding itself to other universes. Everything feeds itself. And it makes sense when you look at certain things. But we just haven't got it 100% when it comes to humans and what they're working out. As they do fight a lot, and when you're fighting in the negative and don't have things right, you'll tend to slow yourself down unless you're really fighting, and then you'll have certain key points you might pick up on real quick to get through that struggle, but then you may slow down again. So it all depends on how you see things and educate yourselves when it comes to that. And anyway, back to God. And so I'll be saying to God, well, I got lung cancer. More likely it wasn't because of the marijuana, and because I smoke less, I have more tobacco. That's what we do in a lot of cases when you ask these people these questions. Even I know that, the ones around me. And you can get stuck on a level where you have more tobacco. You have all these people going, chuck more tobacco in it. And other people go, no, I don't want so much tobacco. I want more of this. And rah, 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 rah. It depends on what level of what they want. Right? But more greener, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to healthiness, is more healthier for the lungs and what you're breathing in than what it is when it comes to adding to it to cut off. So it's worse trying to be gooder at it in that weird outcome. But when you think about it, you get to heaven, God will say, well, I'll let you that go. You said at point, as long as you stand up for things as well, not just let things go. You stood up to what you're right. You wanted to change it so it was better. So people, if they needed to have such a thing, could have it more healthier, and they didn't allow it collectively. So you get to come to heaven quicker if you pass all the tests, right, or you've passed that part and go back, right. And they will keep going with what they need to try to figure out to come things right. And people are dying, and people have high inflation because they want to make certain rules and have things at certain ways because of envy and greed and control and domination. It's pretty shocking, eh? But that's just the truth. But anyway, have a good one. And I'll be happy and proud to talk to God about what I did to stand up for myself and how I try to speak my rights and make things better for all, not just myself. Making things usually better for yourself is a human thing. That's what we all try to do. And if you can do things that make things better for everyone instead of just yourself, just making a little item for yourself. You can make an item for yourself and put it out in the street as you wanted to look at it, and you can just put it in the backyard just for yourself, for you to look at, or you can put it up the street where you can still look at it, but you're doing it for others. So it depends on how you are doing things and how you perceive things, and definitely how much you hurt yourself or put into to try to get an outcome. So you don't want to hurt yourself or put in a lot of effort on outcomes that are bad apples. In the end, it wouldn't be a good outcome, because definitely humans that like to record history, and we do that unless we become the normal humans that we've always been. But one day we might just change, and that's what we do. It's like a kid suddenly clicking. Why does it take 10 years for a kid to suddenly want to clean their room and get what I'm saying instead of thinking I'm attacking them? You know what I mean? It's up to them. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and have a good one, everybody, and see you later. Bye. Sip me the reflection. Wearing my beanie. This beanie is a rusty beanie, and it has a picture It's brown with a strip around it. And it nearly looks like, if you want to look at it negatively, it depends on how you see things. Most people look at everything negatively, and I think I'll quickly chuck in as, people are claiming things. Definitely if you already had previous incidences and then some other things can be similar, you can be blamed on the Kelly, blame it on the Kelly kind of thing. Like I've had, they're all false claims, but I've had people claim that I'm a violent man, and now I'm in the record as a violent man to society. And once they've got that vision and that learnt, that's why people do certain steps. Like another person saying I was dangerous and couldn't go near them just because I reported on their job and try to connect, and they weren't happy about it. You become dangerous, and that gets logged in, and I couldn't get to the court. And so they get their way. It's not a right system at all. They get a perception in paper for the system. Right? And that's not a good thing, and bad guys are good at using the system against them. The system always goes, why do the bad guys always got an upper hand? It's because the system allows them to have it, and it's sad with their loopholes and the way they don't fix things and argue too much. Bad guys love you arguing because you get nothing done. So who always wins in the end? In a lot of cases, in the place where we are and all the things that we know at this time, the bad guys. And it's sad. That's why they've got all the money, and that's why we're in the world we are when it comes to a lot of outcomes. But anyway, have a good one, everybody, and see you later. And when the bad guys win, that shows countries going into debt because they're sucking money from somewhere, and someone has to print it out, like playing the game that I've talked about before with monopoly money, and they want more of that and more of that, and then when shit hits the fan, they'll take all what they can and then restart again. And the bad guys, history has shown us in a lot of cases, and in cult ones too, that they've upgraded secretly behind the scenes for the bad things they do and take. So have a good one. That's why they take a lot. Hitler's a good last example of that history, that we've got a lot recorded, so we can see that. See ya.